Hi everyone, this is Vaishali Jha, and I'm the founder and president of Carigena, and I'm here today with Miss Nita, who is the founder of Miss CEO.
Hi, Vaishali. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Would you like to just give a brief introduction?
Well, it's more than a project. It's a company called Miss CEO, and we've been around since 2011. So, for over a decade, we have been empowering young women as early as middle school with leadership training, mentorship, and career exploration opportunities. And it's since our founding, we have impacted and helped train over 100,000 young women and professionals from all over the world. So it's been quite a journey. And in a lot of ways, we're just getting started as well, because every year there's always new opportunities to engage with these students and teach them skills that will help them with both their short term and their long term goals.
I guess one question that sparked my mind was what inspired you to start this company, and how did you get everyone involved?
Yeah, that's a good question because it always starts somewhere. And I think for many of us who want to find a way to give back, it's through our own sort of journey of whether it's a personal challenge or an observation. And for me, my story is, I was born and raised in the Bay Area, San Jose, California, to be exact. And I went to Leland High School, which is a high school in San Jose. And academically strong student. I was involved in a lot of different extracurriculars, like many of you, like high school students today, speech and debate, tennis, really good at math and science. And so when I ended up going to Stanford for my undergrad, I decided to continue pursuing, exploring my love for math and science, and soon found myself in an electrical engineering major. And as you can probably imagine, there wasn't that many women in the major. I would say when it came time for graduation, it was a handful of us, which was an eye-opening observation, especially being at such a forward-looking institution like Stanford. And it's not like we didn't have these academically strong young women who were doing really well in these subjects, but there was something about the field and the environment that wasn't necessarily conducive or welcoming for women as they tried to figure out their own leadership path. And so that was probably the one of the first of many observations that I made, and I continued to see a lot of challenges, especially when I navigated the professional world. I started out as an engineer. I worked in the lab. I worked on mobile chipsets, and while the work was super interesting, once more I didn't see a lot of people that looked like me. I couldn't look up to a lot of people that look like me. It was difficult to find mentors and sponsors and learn the skills that were required to lead and assert myself and develop my confidence in a variety of male dominated situations. And so I think those were the beginning moments for me where I was curious if there were these skills that I could learn or develop that could help me be a more effective leader on my journey and find a more meaningful experience. And so I was motivated to not only learn that for myself, but also teach the young women that I was working with. So I started, developing these workshops and sort of informal trainings rooted in real practical advice to help young women learn how to advocate for themselves? How do they communicate in a meeting? How do they find the strategic project to be a part of? How do they showcase their work in an impactful way? And I saw based on the response that a lot of women in all stages of their career really resonated with the advice, but they also told me, I wish I had learned this early on. I wish I had learned this when I was a student in high school or when I was in college and I was trying to figure it out because it really would have changed my trajectory. And so that's, I think, the beginning days of Miss CEO, when we started to really formalize the curriculum for young women as early as middle school to start developing skills that they don't traditionally teach in the classroom. These are skills like effective communication. These are skills like finding the right mentors. These are skills like working in teams, learning from failure, time management, stretching yourself. And I really do believe that having this robust leadership toolkit can help you just advance in so many different ways, not just in tech. So, Miss CEO is really about empowering just every young woman to find her voice and create a life of meaning and impact.
Yeah, that's really inspiring. Like, I myself am a senior in high school. So, I mean, I've just started this bridge and I'm like not fully there yet. But yeah, just hearing all this, I would love to join your session someday.
We would love to have you.
Yay. I guess would you like to how do you explain like how do you measure the effectiveness and impact of your like company's programs and like I guess how do you plan to like outreach and bring in more people, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good question. We are very metrics oriented in that we want to have a big impact. We want to make sure that it's quality and we're actually driving the right results. So, as an organization, we're very mindful of everything from the survey results from the students that participate in our different programs and events to the number of students that we are reaching, to just like a lot of different quantitative and qualitative data in terms of the different skills that we are trying to develop. So everything always comes back to the data, and we're constantly reassessing, okay, what worked here, what didn't work, how should we evolve this program, how should we evolve this event, where do we need to course correct. So as you can imagine, it's always updating, but in a good way. And I appreciate that. I think like to some degree, we're always piloting new ideas and new concepts because we're also trying to cater to an ever-changing world where there's all these different emerging new fields, and we're trying to get young women to develop the relevant skills that can make them a part of them.
Bringing it back to like the main purpose of Miss CEO is to like help young female students to like build up confidence for facing the STEM like male dominated world. So I guess what are some innovative ideas that you'd like to give like young female students to like empower themselves to open up like nonprofit? Like, what advice would you give them? I guess if they want to,
Yeah,
I guess, hold their own startup someday. So,
great. Um, So great advice. I mean, great question. I think going back to this leadership toolkit that we're trying to expose young women to is a great place to start. I think that there are a variety of different skills that help us develop our confidence when it comes to trying new things, trying scary things, pitching our ideas, connecting with people that we may need to talk to learn about, new areas. So I think the leadership toolkit is something that can be very helpful. But in general, one thing that I advise my students of all ages is not to get so stuck in the planning and in the learning. There's
yeah.
so much value to just doing and trying. And I think you can get stuck in the analysis paralysis that will never end. You can try to, like, for example, if you're trying to launch a startup, if you're trying to launch a new idea, you can sit there with your PowerPoint or your Excel sheet or your documents all day trying to perfect the idea. But there's nothing quite like trying to execute it and seeing if you get one person interested, one person wanting to engage with you, one partner to sign up. And that's where the magic happens in terms of really picking up the data points that are going to matter for you when it comes to figuring out the direction. So I would just advise all students to just to do, to not just talk about it, not just plan it, but to actually do. Because I see so many people with the best plans, but they never execute it through. And so, I mean, I think what you're doing here is an inspiration because you're actually going out there, you've started something, you're interviewing people, and I really admire those efforts.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think like and adding on to that, like as you mentioned, just do the best advice that I also like take personally is like be spontaneous with whatever you've got. Because for me, I started
Absolutely.
a nonprofit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I started the nonprofit with like four people on my team, but then it grew up and it's like it has three chapters
Yep.
across the nation.
Yep.
So you know,
It's that's exactly how it is. You know, you just have to get started, even if it's just you and somebody else, and you'll learn quickly about what you need to do and how you have to focus your efforts.
and yeah, and like honestly, like I think like, not being afraid of like what like the impossible, like I guess that's another like proverb that I think is really like impactful for like young entrepreneurs because no one really knows like the future, right? So you have the power to change your own life. So, yeah. I guess what because we were
Okay.
talking.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah, the question I asked was basically, like from the beginnings of how you described your experience as a young woman in like STEM, how's it like evolved over time and how has it developed you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think when you look at your own journey, everything, and you look back, you can definitely see how everything is connected. And they all had to happen the way it happened and in the order that it happened. So all of the highlights and the good moments, as well as all the challenges and the struggle, I think it all had to happen the way it did for me to, I guess, find the inspiration and the motivation to do the work that I'm doing today. And so I think in terms of my specific background in tech, I'm so appreciative that I had that exposure um, to successfully complete such an academically rigorous major where, I still remember spending many nights in the basement of our electrical engineering building trying to get a problem set done or, a submission in for lab. And the fact that I did it is something that I wear as a badge of honor. I also really appreciate the mindset that it gave me. I think that even if I'm writing an email or designing a class or designing a program, I bring that analytical mindset in terms of what is effective. How do we deliver the results that matter? How do we measure success? And because at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of people who are interested in empowering women, but I want to make sure that we are really driving long-term success and a long-term impact with each and every student that we work with. So, I think and it also gives me an appreciation for all of the women that are trying to innovate in any field, even if it's not tech, but just any environment where they're trying to show up. Maybe there's not a lot of people who look like them or who they can relate to, but they are trying to show up. They're trying to do good work. They're trying to make a difference. And so I think there's a lot of ways where my background really helps me with my work.
Mm, yeah. Um, and I guess for me too, like, I mean, I'm just like at the beginnings of my career, but yeah, like a few years ago, personally, like, I was a very anxious student. Like you mentioned, as a high schooler, I was juggling through all my extracurriculars and all my academics, and I was like, I'm going for a neuroscience major, since I wanted to be a pre-med student. So throughout my entire journey at high school, I gained a lot of like research skills, and um, I've also learned kind of like the importance of balancing out your schedule and time management basically, because I know that's a really crucial skill that young entrepreneurs do need. And also just like have goals, like set your own goals and just key points that you want to achieve every month. That just keeps you on track. So I guess, would you like to
That's great.
yeah. Would you like to share any upcoming projects your company is working on or just anything in general?
Upcoming projects?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So in terms of upcoming projects, we're always trying to find ways to engage with the community. We have a Miss CEO ambassador team that is, going to be hosting a lot of different leadership workshops out in the community and schools. We've recently done a conference with the Girl Scouts, which went really well, really empowering the community with the leadership skills that we teach at Miss CEO. We also have a program called the Miss CEO Leadership Lab, which we'll be bringing back this summer. And it's really an immersive experience for students to work with our team, work with me, and develop some of these skills. And we're always pushing out information. For example, I have a newsletter that is focused specifically on helping young women advocate for themselves and develop confidence when it comes to, not just asking for more money, but anything in terms of their resources, their time, the things that they want to accomplish. So I think the best way to follow what we're doing is to, check out our website, sign up for our newsletter, follow us on social media to just get the latest in terms of the work that we're trying to share.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess like follow Miss CEO for more, or follow us on Carajana to like learn more about or both of our nonprofits. Thank you.
Absolutely.